Hello guys, welcome to this particular session of this video. In the last video, we're able to learn what actual models.py is. We're able to create our own model, which is basically this guy here. And then if we run our server, like you can see, it's currently running. And when we refresh our page, nothing is actually being taken here. So in this video, what we're basically going to look at is actually look at those of the database commands. You can say models.py because this model.py actually focuses on that of the database side, and also database have to do with that of the backend. So what we are doing now is currently that of the backend side. So what we are going to do is actually look at some of the command we are going to make here. So we are going to get to our hands, actually make use of some commands so for actually get used to them. So the first we are going to do, we need to actually quit our server, because the command we are going to run, we need to actually quit our server. Since we have actually migrated our database and a whole lot of other things in my previous video, make sure to check it out if you are interested in checking them out. So let's actually quit this of our database, so our server second, which is Control C. And hit the Control C is going to stop running. So the next we are going to do is actually type our, because we need to actually tell Python to actually give us a share that we want to work. So we want to actually say Python manage the py what share, simple as this. We hit enter, it's going to provide with a kind of share. So in that of the share, we are going to import this of our model that we have here. So when we import this model, because as of now the information that the domain information we're using is this information that which is in this of our views.py, which is this information here, which is actually info. There's no really much content here. This is just info id equals one, content eat food one, date added 12 January 2025, a whole lot of other dummy data that we made use of here. So this is when we want to actually make it automatically, someone can actually put a content. So you can see in our suggestion the share that we're interested in has actually been gotten for us here. So let me pull this up a little bit. So here it's similar to what we actually want to do in this video, is actually learn some command, also learn how some database command works. So next we are going to do, since this model that we're working with, you need to actually import it, and then let's work with it. So we can say from our what these tags that we created here, which is our tags, and then what we're actually going to do, so actual tags. So we need to actually dot model, because this is the model that we're actually trying to work. Because say from tags import, can say from tags dot model, we need to import this of the task class that we're actually making use of here. So it's going to be, let me drag this up. I've just gotten to complete it because I've done something similar to this earlier. So we can see to be from our task, our tags.model. So it's going to be model. So we need to import our task class. So what actually happened here from this of our task, this our task is the app application, is the folder, the main folder that is holding this of the models. So inside of these models, we need to actually import our class, which is actually called tags, which is this task guy here. So after you are done doing that, you make sure to hit enter where you take it first. So right now we can actually make use of this task class that we actually imported here. So there's one also explained in the let me drag this up. There's something I explained previously in my previous video. I said that most of the content that we are going to have here has actually been completed, apart from this of the content. So we want to actually create a particular content and then save it and then query the database, so for us to actually see how this guy is actually works. So let's actually create a variable. We can say call it info, so we know what we're actually doing. So in this of info is going to be dot our task. Remember that in my previous video I explained something. I said that this is more like a data, you can say where you in a situation of pandas and data analysis, which I did in my previous video. Make sure to check it out. This is more like a colon. Okay, so this is more like a table, a general. So we're trying to create a particular row. A particular row contains a particular information in general. So the first information it might take is that of the ID, followed by that of the content, like how we can see here, ID. These tags I can try to look at it as the content, the date added, and a whole lot of other information. So the next we are going to specify, we can try to specify the ID, we can specify to, but since the ID is going to automatically be generated, so the next we are going to do is specify that of the word content. So which content do I want to put here? So I can say drink, I can say drink water one, drink water one. This is the content, so I don't need to specify all these complete. I don't need to specify because it's automatically is going to be handled, and that of the date added it's automatically going to be handled. So what the Django is expecting me to actually fill here is that only that of the content, because that's what I actually specify. I use some kind of command to actually handle some of all those, which we did in our previous video. So we're going to close this up. I'm going to hit enter, so you can see no, if we didn't get any information. So next we are going to, since we have actually done this correctly, we need to actually save our information, because of now this is just like a empty, this so like a something that we actually created. We have now actually saved it to our database. So do that, we are going to say our info that is holding that of the information dot what save. It's just simple as this. Django tends to make things simple for us. So I'm going to hit save. You can see we got no error. So what is next into it? We need to actually try to query our database. To do that, we can search, we can actually say, let's say, let me try to keep it, put in a particular information. Let's can say query, okay, I can say query under what? Info. So it's going to be our tag. Since our task is the main guy, so it's going to be our tags dot object. Let's say we want to query all the information that exists in our database. So it's going to be object dot what? Or. So here we're going to go down, we're going to print our what? Our query. Let me just copy this guy. Our query, which is our query guy. Our query info. Let's hit enter. You can see query set. What is query set? Task, which you go to task object. We only have one content available. So I can actually try to add more and more contents here. Okay, let me just say add more and more. Let's say query. Let me put this to. Let me set it to 2. Let me create more content. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to say what our query. Let me just go up. Just in case you're interested in this, I'm just hitting the up button. It's going to go back and get those previous information. I'm going to hit what save goes. You can see that. So next, let me just copy this and run this again. So I'm going to paste this here. So I'm going to hit enter. So I just want us to see that when you create more content, you're going to get more query set information here. So I'm going to be, let's say print query info. You can see we have the query set, which is tags subject 1, task subject 2. You can see how simple this was actually going to do. So let's say I'm in a situation whereby I'm interested in getting a particular task. I can say a particular task subject, because right now I'm only getting task subject 2, which is not actually making any sense for that. Basically, so many ways to actually do this. Let's say in a situation whereby I'm interested in getting the content that we actually entered, because as of now we don't know from the query set that will actually being given to us. This guy will not actually know which content that we actually got. So to do this, we can say this of our print info. Since we're interested in what that of the content, so let's say the content. Let's hit enter. You can see, okay, I need to actually select a particular content. Like we can see this of our query set that we have here. This is a kind of list. So we can actually grab a particular element of our choice, and then we can try to get any particular content of our choice. So this in my share is getting cloudy, so I'm going to let me actually run the command again, which is this query info. So when I run the query info, I can set to print our, okay, let's say I want to print our query info. General says I want to print our query info, so I'm going to hit the play button. We'll get this query set, which is actually a type of list, which is tags subject 1, tags of this signifies that we have 2 content available. So I can start to add more and more content, but this is a situation about I want to know the content that's actually been gotten by this of our guide that was being saved, because when we go to this models.py, this model.py, we have the content. You can check the complete data there. So let's actually do that. You know that this query information, we can set to print this out, this query info. Let's say we're interested in the 0, because this is a list, this is a query set, this is a list type, because this signifies a list. So I want to get this list. I want to do what content. I want to know the content that was actually being added. So if you are still familiar to this list, or you are still interested in learning it, make sure to check out my channel. I did a tutorial concerning this list. So also the link is also in the description down below in case if you are interested. So let's, when I hit enter, I can say drink water 1. So when I also do for that of which is second, which is 1, so you can see drink water 2. What happened when I do for that of 3? Even though we know that we didn't let's say 2, we will know that this is actually there's 0, this guy, there's 1, and then there's nothing like this. So let's actually run this you can see we get this error return a key result check 0 and a whole lot of bunch of error that list can also list out of range. So we can also try to create more and more content of our choice. We can create enough that we want, but there's also something I want us to do. We can also try to get a content by making use of the ID, because like I did here, you can see this query info and you can see index 2, so this doesn't exist, which is 0 and 1. You can actually get it by indexing, so you can also get it by that of the ID. And to actually achieve this is basically simple. So let me go back, which is in this. So it's going to be our query set. So let me clean this up. So it's going to, let's put this back. Let me just copy this. It's going to be a little bit similar to this. So it's going to be this query info. Let me just copy it and then let me paste it to this query info. Let me clean this. Okay, this is our query info. So what we want to, I actually want to run it again. I just want to get the element by that of the index, so I can come here and say data query info. Instead of saying the or, I can say the what to get. I want to get by that of the ID. I can specify the ID to be, let's say I want to get one, and then let me hit enter. So I can do that of the query info, dot what content. What did I actually do here? Just okay, let's run. You can see I get this drink water. This is in fact our query info. I set the query info to tags.object.get ID. I set the ID to be 1 because we're going to make use of this ID, and this query info is now going to be the ID of 1, a content of ID of 1, and then we're going to do that of the info content. We're going to query the information. We're interested in that of the content, and then we'll go drink water. Like how you can see that we set 1 here, and when we actually make use of that of the indexing, 0 signify that of the 1 and 1 signify that of the 2, because that's how indexing actually works. So we're going to try to get that of the first one by doing, okay, let's get it dot what can say start subject or what first. So if we're interested in getting that of the first, we don't need to actually specify this. So we can actually print our query info dot content, because get query function object has no attribute content. So what is the problem here? Okay, has no attribute content. Okay, I think that should be first. Try specify this so we can actually query it dot. Okay, you can see dot first. We can actually get that of the drink water 1 again. So we can actually try to change the behavior, because when I run this, let's say I try to query all the information, then I try to print out the, let me close this. You can see I get this kind of query set that it does not actually signify really much, because let's say in a situation whereby I want to actually get to see that of the content initially, so I can say instead of getting this task subject 1, I can say task subject 2. To actually do this, we are going to make use of what is called under str. So this is going to change the behavior of that of the way the content is going to be rendered to us. So to do this is basically simple. We're going to create function going to be underscore str. So we're going to take that of the word self. So we want to actually when I create something, when I want to query information, let it actually come. I want it to become in form of that of the text. This is not actually a must, but most cases it's actually a good idea. So I'm interested in returning that of our saved or content that we created. Make sure if you are giving it any particular name here that exists, make sure it must be a string. If you give it a date, it's going to have issue with it. So make sure to add that of the content, put the content here, make sure they have the same name. So when I close this, when I start the, okay, let me run this again. Let me know if it takes the effect. No, the effect has not been taken, so let me close this and run it again. Let me go to my py money.py, run this again. I'm going to say python money.py shell. So I'm going to, from this of our task mode, I want to import our tag. So I can actually try to query this directly. So let me do this. Since the information has been stored in the database, so I can actually query without me doing to write it again. So I can do this. So I can try to print out the info once more again. You can see when we look at it, you can see the query set task is going to be drink water 1, drink water. 2, because we say this return, we say this $str is going to be save the content. If also maybe there's other, maybe a text field, maybe a header, we can just try to set it. Depending on just what you want to actually get be displayed output, it's going to be outputted for you. But my case, I decided to set the content. So I think with this, I have a whole lot of idea of what things they can do with that of the database. They can maybe the database command I can make use. Remember that what we're actually making is the start of SQLite. See here, let me open it. Remember this SQLite 3. Let me open it actually. Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at some of the information that exists here. And why is this not done? So the information is not actually something you should actually play with, because it can tend to mess up if you are not really. This is otherwise make use of SQLite 3. So there's not really much for us to actually cover in this tutorial and these models learning database command. As we go on, we're going to learn a whole lot of database commands. So the next video, we're going to actually implement this in the next video to actually see how, because well, remember that when we actually let me drag this up. Remember when we actually did all this in one, just only setting that of the content. So other one information are going to be filled by that of user. So what we are going to do is actually create a form that somebody is going to enter, instead of us trying to enter the content. When somebody comes here, enter the content here, the content is going to run and then be entered inside of this task, the model that we created there, which is going to be content equals to what somebody entered inside, and there's going to be saved, just simple as that, using that of .save. So I think we are going to the end of this video. In the next video, these are things we are going to cover in the next video. So happy to see you in that video. Thank you for watching.